Hi, it's Michelle Last here, and you're joining me for the technique class for April, and we are using the Perfect Pennants stamp set, which looks like this. And one of the cards that you're making as part of the virtual class is this Make-A-Wish card. Now, I don't know if you can see, but the stars are embossed with the pewter embossing powder, so we've got a nice, bright, young, fresh card. So what you'll receive in your pack is your pack like this, and inside your pack is everything you need. It's put in the order that you're going to use it. Within the card, if you know what I mean. And what I mean by that is these parts of the cardstock go on the top of the card, and these parts of the cardstock go on the inside of the card. Only exception to that is I've put in a little strip of the vellum, which if I show you that's the front of the card, and that's the inside of the card, and I've just put this little strip of vellum. It just looked a bit plain without it. You can use it, and I'll leave it up to you. So you'll get your card pack. You've got 2 pieces of ribbon, so one long silver piece, and then I have already done you a fork bow with the ribbon. I'll show you how I did that when we get to that stage. So let me just put these back in the pack, because this is one of your packs, and I've got mine all ready to use. Okay, so here's the pack that I'm going to use, and I'm going to talk you through step by step. I won't do all of the steps because I don't need to show you everything, because most of it is pretty self-explanatory. But what you're going to do is you can glue this section. This is Bermuda Bay, this is Coastal Cabana. You can stick the Coastal Cabana cardstock to the front of the card, leaving an even gap all the way around the outside. So stick that in place. Then what you need to do is you need to get your little piece of white, which is cut so that it fits nicely on the Daffodil Delight, and you need to get the stamp set and pick up the star. And you need to use Versamark and stamp that all over your cardstock. Now, if you have hot fingers and you find that when you do heat embossing that you get lots of powder that sticks to the paper, you want to use an embossing buddy, and that just takes all the moisture out of the paper and leaves a little layer of fine dust over the paper, which absorbs any moisture from your fingertips or from anything else if you're working in a humid environment. So we've got the star, and I've got a Versamark ink pad, and you want to stamp your stars off the cardstock, not all within the edge of the cardstock. So you just want to stamp them in a random fashion all over. And I'm pretty happy with that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to sprinkle your pewter embossing powder. I keep mine in these Chinese takeaway containers. Only reason I eat Chinese takeaway, clearly. But I'm just going to sprinkle on the pewter embossing powder. You can use silver. Pewter is just a slightly different tone. And sprinkle it all over your card. And make sure that you get a good coverage of powder. Worst comes to worst, sprinkle the whole lot on. It's getting depleted after today's class. So sprinkle that over. If you need to I'm going to get a little bit more powder. The more precise you are about getting a good coverage at this stage, the better the embossing you will get. So I'm just going to be perfectionist and get that corner. Try not to tap the paper way too hard, but just tap it to get rid of any of the excess powder that's stuck where it shouldn't be stuck. And then I'm going to pour my embossing powder in, ready for next time. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to heat set it. Now I'm going to turn on my heat gun and let it warm up for a little while. Don't turn it straight on and then point it straight at your items you want to heat emboss, because it takes a little while to warm up, and you'll find that you might scald or warp the paper while you're waiting for it to get to the right temperature. So it's going to get noisy now, so I'm just going to turn my heat tool on. it starts to take, you will see it go from the dull pewter colour powder to the lovely finished silver pewter colour effect. So it's really easy to see that it is taken well and in the right places. So you don't need to move your heat tool around, moving it all over. Just concentrate it on the area until it takes, and then move it to the next section. Now I was pointing it about this distance away from the paper. Try not to be too close, and the thinner the paper, the further away you need to be. You just need to be a bit more patient. So we've got our lovely pewter stars there. Now if you'd have found that actually it hasn't caught everywhere, you can use a Versamark pen or a Versa marker. I could now add another bits of ink. If I've missed sections, sprinkle more powder on and heat set again if I wanted to. So that's quite a nice fail-safe way to do that. What you're going to now do is stick those two elements together, the Daffodil Delight and the Whisper White cardstock. So just get them mounted with a nice even gap all the way around, and then you're going to get one piece of your ribbon and you're going to get it going side to side on your project. So I'm just going to put a bit of glue side and side and just roughly pull that across, decide where I want it to be, like that. So that's going to go on there like that. Now what I can do is I actually can stick that to the front of my card, because I've added glue to the back, and if I don't stick it to something, to the card, it will stick to something else. So I'm just going to again mount that centrally, and then while I'm here I might as well mount that to the front of my card. Make sure you stick it up the right way. So that's pretty much the front of my card. Now what you're going to do is you've got a piece of Coastal Cabana and Daffodil Delight. We're going to stamp in black ink. We're going to stamp the sentiment Make-A-Wish. Now I find the easiest way to do this, you could trim yours to the exact measurement of mine and then use a Stamp-A-Majig to put it in place. But just for ease, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it just centrally as straight as I can on the cardstock, and then I'm going to trim it after, and that way you've got enough cardstock to trim it down to whatever size that you actually get to. You may find you use a different stamp, and what I do is I line up the inked edge of my stamp with this inner line here of the trimmer, and then if I cut and I line up the image on in the same place on every side, that means I'm going to have an even gap all the way around this one stamp. So let's just get that in the right place. That will do. And then what I'm going to do is get my yellow and cut an even gap around the edge there. I'm just doing this by eye, so mine might not be perfect, but I'm doing it for speed as well. I don't want to keep you watching too long. Okay, and what we're going to do is stick those together. I'm going very crude about assembling my card. Obviously I'd encourage you to spend a little bit more time to make sure you do it carefully and properly. And what I've done is I've added some dimensionals on the back of that, which is going to give it the raised effect, which just gives an added bit of dimension. Whoops. Okay, so that's going to stick on the front like that. Okay, now that would be stuck in with your little strip of vellum if you wish. And now I'm going to show you how to make the fork bow. Now I'm going to use a very short piece of ribbon here. You can, if you wish, keep your ribbon on the spool, and I'd recommend you do that really. That makes your life a lot easier, and that you just only use as much ribbon as you need. But with a fork, and however wide your fork is how wide the bow is going to be from one side to the other. Get your bit of ribbon and fold it front to back like that. I'm just trying to concentrate that you can see that. Front to back like this. So this back piece of ribbon on the back of the fork is going to go across the, if I hold that like that, it's going to go across the front piece. Can you see that? It's going to go across the front piece and through the middle prong. It's going to go across and through the middle prong like that, and then that middle piece that I've just pulled through is going to come back up through that middle prong there. So if I hold onto my ends and pull tight, I do have a video already to show you how to make a fork bow, so if you want to see a more in-depth video, if you just search Michelle Last fork bow, you'll see a video dedicated just to this technique. And all I'm doing is finding the ends and just tying a knot. Now you must forgive me, I've used a super short piece of ribbon here. And I've got it, but just right, okay. So I'm pulling it. Pull it super tight, and I mean super tight. And then slide it off your fork. And you'll find that you've got your bow. And then all we need to do is just trim off the end. And we need a glue dot, and then what I did was I just stuck that in place on the card like that, where I wanted it to be, rather than getting it in the right place and then using up lots of ribbon. So that's the first card. So pop on over to the other video to see me demonstrating the other cards and the other techniques. Thanks for watching.